Hey guys, Masi Segopian here from ZeldaDungeon.net, and today we are looking at one of the newest items in my Zelda collection, and that is the Legend of Zelda Manga Legendary Edition box set. And before we get into the contents of this new box set, I want to talk a little bit about the history of the Zelda manga. Because sometimes I feel like Nintendo has been playing a game with me, and it's called, how many times can we get Masis to buy the exact same items over and over again? Nintendo is definitely winning in this game against me, because they have released and re-released these items, it seems like almost a half a dozen times, and I keep buying them. Probably will continue to keep buying them as long as they make cool stuff. This all started way back in 2000, where the team of Akiri Himakawa, which is actually two people, they wrote and illustrated the Ocarina of Time manga set. And this came in two books. One, they just broke it up into part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is mostly the Child Link portion. And for those of you unfamiliar, a manga, it's basically a comic, like a graphic novel, and it's like it dives deeper into the story of Ocarina of Time. And maybe it's not canonical, but because it's like a novelization, they can spend a heck of a lot more time and going over in detail some of the stuff, some of the plot elements, and some of the characters play a much larger role in the manga. Gui and I here at the YouTube channel, we actually did a whole Zelda book club talking about the manga series from Ocarina of Time, so I highly recommend checking those out. But they're great. They're very nicely illustrated to see some of the characters come alive, and these came out in 2000, and then other manga books in the series came out in the subsequent years, covering Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, Majora's Mask, Four Swords, the Minish Cap, and Phantom Hourglass. However, for the longest time, these were only available in Japan. They were not available in the West, so us English reading, fans, we were never able to experience them. In the Zelda community, there was a whole movement of scanning some of these, and there were fan-translated versions that had been circulating around the internet, and there was always a little bit of iffiness of whether this was actually like legal and okay. But what we really wanted was for Nintendo to release these in the West so that we can enjoy them and add them to our collection, and they eventually did in the year 2008. And so we got the Ocarina of Time manga, but then we got some other ones. Like here is the part 1 and part 2 of the Four Swords series, and these were released by Viz Media or Viz Kids, and they're great. They're great. It was great to finally get to read them and purchase them and have them on your shelf. But then that's not just it. A few years later, in 2011, we got this guy right here, the whole box set, which came with 10 of the manga books, which at the time I believe this was the first time Phantom Hourglass was made available in this series. And this box set was great. It's got some nice artwork from the games and from the actual manga cover artwork and whatnot. All 10 volumes are arranged nicely with the same sort of spine little artwork. Even comes with a little poster of the artwork from the part 1 of the Ocarina of Time manga. Great. We finally get to see them in the West, and it was like we got the full collection. Awesome. And then, flash forward another 5-6 years later, they re-released these again, this time in the Legendary Edition form, which came in these kind of like 2-in-1s. So some of these, like the Ocarina of Time manga, where there was part 1 and part 2, they put them in a single book, and it's got a nice cover art, nice spine, and it's a lot bigger, a lot bulkier, and it's great. These look nice, and especially for the manga that are like these 2-in-1s, like Ocarina of Time being one of them. Then there was the Four Swords, also came part 1 and part 2, and then there was like Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, which those two games and the manga series, they always have gone hand in hand. It is part of a larger story, so it made sense to pair these together. So it's nice to have these all in one book. It's great. But for the rest of the manga, they didn't really have a natural pair. There was not like a 2-part series, so they just threw 2 books into one. So we got the Phantom Hourglass and Minish Cap set, and then we got the Majora's Mask, and A Link to the Past set. These books, when you put them on your shelf like this and you just line them up, they just look really nice and they're great. Even though they're black and white, the first about 15-20 pages are in color. You get to experience them that way, but it's nice just to have them, not just to have them on your collection, on your shelf, but they're actually fun to read through. They're actually an interesting story, and I think they advance the story a little bit and get you to think about some of the characters a little bit more. But then flash forward to 2020, and we get this guy here. This is basically an advancement of what these Legendary Edition versions are, but this comes in the full box set, and it comes with this cool little treasure box. I have to say, this is made of this like glossy cardboard, and the material is actually not the greatest, but it does look cool. It does have a nice feature. Unfortunately, mine broke actually shortly after I got it, but when you open this, there's a little audio thing in here where it makes a noise, and it's supposed to play like a treasure chest, like when you get an item from a treasure chest. But inside, we've got these same 5 books re-released. The major difference, though, is they are in hardcover. Most, I think, collectors, they like to see this like this. It's just preserved nicely. It just feels nice to hold. It looks better on a shelf displaying them, and they're fantastic. In addition to that, we got an illustrated poster from Akira Himekawa, and it's just some artwork to go along with the manga series. So if you like to hang stuff up on the wall, it's fantastic. So, I mean, this is a great item, I think, for any Zelda collector. I mean, I love collecting the books in the Zelda series. I love collecting the Hyrule Historia, the Creating a Champion, all these great publications that they've put out, and this goes right hand in hand with that. And I might eventually take these hardcovers out of this treasure box and just display them, but I highly recommend picking this up. It is available for about 120 bucks right now, still brand new on like Amazon and whatnot. If you do a little bit of digging a little further, you probably can find it cheaper elsewhere. I think I've seen it for under 100 bucks for the full box set over on eBay and some auction websites and other third-party places. Do your work, you can get it for a little cheaper, and it's still actively available. So this hasn't, collectors haven't driven this up yet. It's awesome. It's great. And yet I'm thinking, what's next? I'm sure that there's going to be another box set coming soon. Maybe they're going to make bigger books. Maybe they're going to make a fully colored version. There's the Twilight Princess. They're at the 8th series in that box set's coming out, so I'm sure that we're going to get the same treatment. Nintendo's going to keep putting out more of these, and I'm going to keep buying it every time they come out. And you should too, because they're fun. They're great. They're little cool collectibles. Maybe you don't need to get every variant of them. I definitely think these are cool items for any Zelda collector. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and be sure to stay tuned here at Zelda Dungeon for more items from my Zelda collection.